See this nice clear sidewalk? If you look behind me, it became obstructed with this truck. Someone jumped in and they asked him for his license, but he was refusing. And look, now he's just jumped into the truck and started the engine. All they're asking for is his license so he can be issued a ticket, but he's been refusing. You better not drive forward because he will hit the towing crew and then he'll be arrested. Finally, he's giving his license. He's been arguing for about 10 minutes already. The argument of the driver was he's not obstructing the sidewalk, so he doesn't have to give his license. I don't think I caught that on camera, but the guy was doing the poggy face in front of the enforcer. He thinks it's a joke, he thinks it's a game. This is how it was when they first arrived. Multiple enforcers asked him for his license, but he just refused. The sidewalk is for pedestrians, it's not a parking space. There's a lot of people that have come because of the, well, I don't want to say alarm and scandal, but he created a crowd here. The crazy thing is, now he's actually reversed it properly. The sidewalk is clear, so it does fit. He just didn't park it properly the first time. I think the team just apprehended a member of the Dyan lang ako gang, because the first thing he was doing was pointing.
Dyan lang ako.
Dito lang ako.
Oo, yan na nga ba sabi ko eh. Di ba? Mag-helmet tayo.
Anyway, he does have a license. He already handed it over to the enforcer. The only violation is driving without a helmet, which is actually one of the worst because that's the only thing that can protect your head if you have an accident. This street has a one-side parking, so those vehicles on the left are allowed. But the other lane was actually obstructed with things like this, the tent. That's what's being cleared now by the SCOG team. Good luck with the sidewalk. Look, there's a freezer there. And further along, they've issued tickets to illegally parked vehicles, like these motorcycles here. As you get further along, it gets even worse. Look. It's just a narrow space left in the very middle of the road. No wonder there's so much traffic in Metro Manila. I can understand the parked vehicles, but why all the garbage? That's what I don't understand. Why is there all the junk here? My goodness, big mess to clean up here. Obviously this tricycle here is parked on the wrong side, and in fact even those tricycles are parked on the right side, they're obstructing the sidewalk, they're obstructing people's gates and driveways. Those in itself are violations. And there you go, you'll see that some tricycle drivers are now removing their vehicles because allegedly there was a complaint, and it says right here not to block the gate. And this was left behind where one of the tricycles was moved, so I have no idea how long it might have been here. It's the same thing over here. They're clearing their tricycles from this gate, and Bong is actually explaining to one of the now that even if there's a one-side parking ordinance, you cannot obstruct someone's private driveway. That is considered to be illegal parking. Not only that, but it's unfair, it's unreasonable, because they gave up space to accommodate their vehicles inside. And then people were legally parked outside, obstructing their gates, obstructing their driveway. Some tricycles have been ticketed and some have gone up on the tow truck. It just depends if there's a driver and if they can show a license or not. I wondered why this guy came speeding along, honking, honking, honking. I guess he wanted to rescue that tricycle, but that's not an excuse to drive recklessly, right? You can see there's a lot of people and they're working on the road. Don't ride like that. People will complain, why does it keep flooding? Why can't you fix the flooding? Why do you keep throwing your garbage on the floor? It goes into the sewers, clogs them up, and then the whole place floods, right? Every day the MMDA have so many teams going around just removing garbage from the sewers. Can you believe that? The tricycle is parked exactly on the corner. My goodness. That's why the enforcer is writing out a ticket now. It's a big headache when people park on the corner. It makes it dangerous and difficult to turn. That's why the corners are often painted, to actually remind people not to park there. But I don't know. Sometimes it's not that people don't know, it's that they simply don't care and they don't expect to be apprehended. That's the reality most of the time. That's a nice car, but unfortunately it's parked on the sidewalk. And then in front of it you'll see all those plants. A lot of the time, people use plants to reserve parking, even if it's a sidewalk. I'm not saying that's definitely the case here, but that's what we've seen many times in the past. Just like over here, the motorcycle chose to park on the sidewalk. Sidewalks are ready for pedestrians. They're not a parking lot, right? There was a complaint from nearby residents. They said this owner-type jeepney has not moved for 2 years. So occupying precious space on the road and allegedly not moving. So the MMDA have sent someone to the barangay. They want to verify if that's accurate and true. And if it is, I think it's going to be towed away. And with tires like this, perhaps you could even consider this as a stored vehicle, regardless of what the residents and barangay say. I mean, even with just all the dirt and leaves and garbage around this, you get an idea that this probably hasn't moved. Allegedly, someone complained about this as well. And again, you can see that the tires are completely flat, so obviously it's not being used.
Yung owner na yun, sir, matagal na yun dyan nakitambay.
Ito,
Opo yan.
at saka yung owner. Papakuha na po namin.
Opo, sir. Opo. Salamat.
You may remember what we saw in Manila City before, an abandoned vehicle that was allegedly turned into a drug den. And it seemed like the barangay knew about it. Anyway, they're hooking up to this now. They're going to put this one on the flatbed for parking on a corner. Actually, no, you can't park within 6 meters of the corner, the intersecting lines. Someone actually arrived for this one and then opened the vehicle to make it easier for them to pull it on the tow truck. And there you go, it's already up on the tow truck, so that's one less obstruction on the road. I just read where it says guest of honor, and the first thing that came to my mind is guest of honor in the impound. The thing is, I don't find it funny when people get impounded, and I don't get joy out of that. But I do get joy when residents come out of their homes and they say to the MMDA, this is a big problem in our lives. This is bothering us every day and nobody ever fixed it. And then the MMDA say, no problem, we're going to fix it for you. That's where I get the joy. Because I know how frustrating it is in life when you see all these problems and nobody's fixing it. Apparently the owner of the Innova is here and he said he's going to move it. They've advised him that if they pass through again tomorrow and it's still here, well, he knows what's going to happen. I guess this one has probably not been sitting here as long, but still. There's a sidewalk there, but it's obstructed by 2 parked cars. And I remember the MMDA had the exact same problem last time they were here. You can see the enforcer is writing out tickets. And the ticketing continues over here as well. Actually, I remember a guy came out last time and he thanked the MMDA because he doesn't like illegally parked vehicles on his road. They're still waiting for someone to show a license for this. I'm pretty sure this is the same location where they had a problem before with a driver that didn't want to give their license. The birds that were in the road are also being removed as well as the cages. But if the barangay allowed them to put them back here, I don't know. You thought it was a sidewalk, but then someone tied this here. My goodness. I don't know with people. They really think the public property is their own. And there you go. This one is already being pulled up onto the tow truck. The houses around here are so big, but the sidewalk was still taken for parking. So they write out the ticket, and if someone doesn't come out, it'll be towed away. And as you know, the MMDA do the coordination with the barangay before they operate, and the barangay give them a list of where parking is allowed, isn't allowed, and everything like that. That's a rider that I saw earlier without a helmet. Turns out he was caught further along the road. That's the thing that a lot of people forget when they watch my videos. They might see something in the background, like a rider go past, and then they'll say, oh, you didn't catch that. They don't know, and at the time, I don't know, that someone further along the road has actually caught him. This is another street that has a no parking both sides, but you'll see there are vehicles parked here. And they are being issued tickets now. It looks like the driver just came running out for this one now, so they won't have to tow it. They can just ask the driver for his license. The driver was concerned that his license is going to be confiscated, but the enforcer explained they're just going to copy his license details onto the ticket and then give him the license back. They're not going to confiscate it. But this one, not so lucky, it is going up on the tow truck. I've actually seen people come from other streets and they're watching the team because they said, you already ticketed me. I want to make sure you're really ticketing and towing everyone. And they are. Everybody's getting the same And if you're wondering about signages, you can see signs like this: no parking, tow-away zone. They just flagged down this rider. Unfortunately, he's not wearing a helmet, and when they asked him for his license, he cannot show anything. So I heard them on the radio calling for the tow truck. Every day I see complaints from people saying they were hit by someone and then they ran away.
Go.
And a lot of the time the reason why people run away is because they don't have a license, they don't have insurance, they don't have registration. And obviously you'll notice the mirror is missing, and he actually has a helmet. I guess he just doesn't like wearing it. They're flagging down this rider. He has a proper motorcycle helmet on his elbow, but he has a bicycle helmet on his head. The penalty for that is 3,000 pesos. My goodness, why didn't you just wear the proper helmet? They flagged down this rider for not wearing a helmet, and within seconds he said he doesn't have a license or cannot show a license. And that's why the towing crew came in. They're going to impound the motorcycle. Oh, call a friend who wants to be a millionaire. Anyway, the towing crew's already taking the bike. There's a big sign here saying no parking, no vendors, and of course there's a lot of vehicles parked here. Actually, some people ran away as soon as they heard the MMDA coming. Actually, I'm surprised that even with the BPSO here, the vendors are still occupying the sidewalk and the road, and all the vehicles are parked here. That means they don't have any respect for their barangay, right? Or the barangay told them it's okay. Not sure which. Someone did actually come out for this motorcycle, but I guess he cannot show a license because it's still being impounded. And that would make you wonder, how did it get here in the first place? So they pushed the bike over to the tow truck. I spoke to the enforcers. They said the driver did come out. He did say he parked it there, but he cannot show a driver's license. That's why they're having to impound it, because there's no licensed driver to take a ticket and move it, or at least no one that can show a license. If you're curious, the SCOG team has been making people remove their stuff from the sidewalk. I hope it would be maintained also once they leave, obviously by the barangay that are assigned here. I was just thinking, imagine if you're renting a space here like this salon, and then your whole frontage is obstructed by vendors. How are you going to get any customers, right? That's really unfair. That's why when people say have consideration, you have to have consideration for everyone, not just for yourself.